Right, how are we doing, folks? You will notice I am very much so sitting by myself this week. Had a guest booked in. He had some very understandable problems on his side he had to deal with, and we couldn't get the podcast filmed, so I'm just going to make one by myself. This is going to be episode 3. It's going to be a solo episode. Going forward, there might be a couple of solo episodes because I'm trying to get, I'm doing outreach emails, but sometimes people aren't getting back to me, and at the start, it's always going to be like that because I don't really have, let's say, the reputation yet. But that's neither here nor there because I'm still going to do this now, so there's no problem. I'm also going to check, am I in the middle of the frame? So, nevertheless, still feel like I have an interesting topic to talk about today. A lot of this is going to be questions. I would love to have someone beside me that can answer these questions, but unfortunately, I don't. So, still, I think it'll make for an interesting listen because you can think about these questions yourself, and maybe if you have answers and you want to drop them in the comments, I'd love to hear what other people think. The whole topic of this podcast today is Elon Musk, actually. And Elon Musk came out in an interview with The Economist. I think it was posted yesterday or the day before. And it was all things AI, everything to do with AI. And what I'm going to do now here is I'm going to list out the claims he made. And then we're going to just dive into the general topics I've been thinking about in regards to those. So the 3 claims he makes. AI will be smarter than all of us in 5 years. It will be in charge of all of us in 10 years. And money will be completely gone by 2036. He also makes the comparison that we will be like happy pet labradors, which I find truly fascinating to make as, you know, a human species who has been at the top of the food chain for I don't know how many millennia, and now he's saying that we're going to be like happy pet labradors. I'm going to let you decide what you think of that because I know what I think of that. He also then says that the comparison between humans and chimpanzees is going to be very comparable to humans and AI. Which once again is like the Labrador assessment. I find that completely and utterly ludicrous. And this is what we are calling for. But then again, are we even calling for this? Because who's voting for this stuff? Or is Musk, Sam Altman and all these guys just doing what they want to do? And just not caring about the guardrails, because that's probably more about what I think. The main part I want to get into now, those are the 3 predictions he's made. And now the main part I want to get into is this. Musk says that there's going to be an incredible abundance for everybody in 10 years' time. The reason he says there's not going to be a need for money is because there's going to be such an abundance of goods and services compared to money that you're not going to need money because goods and services are just going to be everywhere. Which, to me, once again, makes absolutely no sense because then, you know, is he just going to give the AI away for free? How does that work? You know, are we going to have to pay for the AI? Like, I mean, if Musk gives it away for free, that'd be great. Am I crazy to think that he's not going to give it away for free? I don't think so. For some reason, I feel like he is going to charge money for the AI he has invested billions into developing. Maybe I'm crazy, though. Who knows? Such a crazy time. But the abundance issue is something I've thought about so much over the last while. And I definitely think that while abundance is the answer to things like poverty, disease, all that kind of stuff, I definitely think AI can help there. I don't want to paint AI to be completely terrible in this because that would just be completely and utterly one-sided, and I'm not going to do that. I think it definitely is great, but I want to talk more so about Elon Musk. And instantly, when I think about Elon Musk and the interview he just gave, I instantly think to slightly pessimistic things. Sorry, this might be a bit doom, Corey, but the thing I want to talk about here is it's going to solve poverty. It's going to solve disease problems. It's going to solve maybe getting more accessible clean water and food to places that don't have it. But the one thing that I don't see it solving, and the one thing I see it causing even more entropy to and more disorder and more questions to, is just finding meaning in your life. I've come to the conclusion for my life that more leads me to more confusion, and the more simple my life is, the more I can actually figure out what's inside of me and who I want to be. And that might not be the same for everyone. That's just me personally. That's how I feel about the situation. So I can't imagine how in a day and age where there's even more than there is today, how anyone is going to have any more direction than what they have now in terms of figuring out what they want. Put it to you this way. Let's say there was a 23-year-old from 1950, came to my garden now and is looking at me recording this podcast. He's going to be like, what is that thing you have pointing at you and what is that thing sitting on your lap? So instantly now he has more things to think about. And this is my question. The people back then didn't have more things to think about, but they were, I'm pretty sure that on a whole they were a happier generation and society than we are today. And you can definitely back that up with statistics on young people with anxiety, depression, purposelessness in their life. You can definitely back that up. I know I'm not saying that, there's correlation and there's correlation and causation. There's a correlation there. I can't say for sure if it's causation, but the more things you have to worry about and the more things you have to think about, the less you're actually thinking about, well, what do I want and who am I and what am I going to do with my life? There's more options now. Like, even for instance, that guy 50 years ago might have been, his father might have been, I don't know, let's say he was a stonemason. So he went into stonemasonry too, and he did it with his father. There was never really any other possibility for him. And he found great meaning in that work. He loved working with his father, whatever. Obviously, I'm romanticizing that situation. But this is what I mean. Nowadays, people can't... It's not that people don't want purpose, it's they can't find purpose. And that's probably because there's just so many options. And now Elon Musk is saying, let's go for more options. How does that help? And then if you get to a point where people can't find purpose in their life, and they can't find meaning in their life, I feel like that's going to lead to a society of people who are very careless and empty, maybe. And that can't be a good thing for running a society. But then again, as Elon Musk says, we're not going to be in charge in 10 years' time anyways. But I don't think it's good to nurture a society of people that can't find meaning for their life, because then they're not going to do any good things for the good of humanity. I truly do think that a lot of people's purpose is doing good for the good of humanity. Doctors, dentists, all these people. Now, while obviously there's monetary gain there too, but they're helping the world. There's people out there that want to help other people. And if we're going to nurture a society where people don't know what they want and they can't figure out if they want to help humans or not, because if we're not even going to be in charge or not, where's that going to lead anyone? All I feel like that's going to lead to is just more divide between people and less and more of a disconnect, which I think over the last while has been terrible for people. Less social spaces after COVID, less social interactions after COVID, and I would like to say that is causal towards more depression, more anxiety, all that kind of stuff. And also it's through reliance on technology and other things, and you become addicted to technology and things, and then you don't want the social interaction, you don't want all that. So this is what I mean, the more abundance you have, where does that actually lead? And in my opinion, and this is only my opinion, it's not an answer, I don't think more is the answer for people who already have enough. I just don't think it is. I think it's only going to cause more confusion and more questions for what do I actually want from my life. Maybe you guys disagree with me there, and I'd love to hear people who are on the side of, more abundance is good, and I'd like to hear where they're coming from, albeit I might disagree with you, but I'd like to hear where they're coming from, because to me, I can't see it. So if anyone has any insights like that, and they want to drop them in the comments, please do. I'd love that. I mean, ultimately, I would love to be having this discussion with someone right now, but unfortunately, I couldn't get a guest. Like, he also made the point of that, the government should just issue checks to everyone for money then. Because the interviewer in the interview asked, how do people get money then? If work becomes optional and AI is doing every job, because there's no point in you doing it because the AI will do it better than you, how do you get money? And Elon Musk says you should simply just issue checks. Then he gets into a debate of inflation and deflation that I'm not going to get into here now, because I know I will articulate it wrong, and I don't want to come across like I have any idea what I'm talking about economics. I'd love to have someone in an economic field on so I can talk about this, and that's probably something I'll try and look into. But his point is that the Treasury should just issue checks to everybody. But then if the Treasury issue checks to everyone for money and the goods and services are, let's say, unlimited, and we use AI to generate these goods and services, to me that just looks like all the money is just going to funnel back to Elon Musk, and money is going to bring him more power. So then all that's going to happen is that the money the government prints for the people is going to be given to the people, and then that money to the people is just going to be given to Elon Musk. And then he's just going to have such a centralization of money. He's going to have so much money, it's ridiculous. And I don't think that's a good thing for anyone. In a lot of ways, money will give you power. And if you have an absolute, as Niall Sinnott would say, if you have a plethora of money, you're going to have a plethora of power. That's probably not even the right word. I'm not even going to try and grapple here with Niall Sinnott. He is that guy when it comes to vocabulary. But if you have an absolute incredible amount of money, you're going to have an incredible amount of power. So then, if he says money doesn't matter, but then he says the government should just issue checks. So I don't understand how any of that connects or makes sense. And then going on to the whole power thing in a different dynamic than Elon Musk having all the power. Who decided this? Like, who decided this is what's best for the good of humanity? And I'll relate it back to the invention of the atomic bomb, back in the 1940s, I believe. Let's go back to that in the Manhattan Project, and it's Germany against America trying to make the atomic bomb, because if Germany makes the atomic bomb first, we're screwed. If America make it first, we're all okay, because America are always the best people in every situation. They're always the good guys. That's an interesting topic. We're not going to get into that now, but that was a state-backed project. So what I mean by that is the government thinks it's in the country's best interest, it's in the people's best interest to develop an atomic weapon, because if Germany develop it, it's game over for us here in America. So you would like to think there that the government are involved to such a point that they have the people's best interests at heart for developing this atomic weapon. So in a way, the people have say in what happens. But with this, Elon Musk isn't a government entity, although he tried for a while. Sam Altman isn't a government entity. These AI people at the top of the field with this top-level technology, as the top-level technology was atomic bombs back then, was regulated and run by the government, and they were calling in just scientists to make up this. If they made the atomic bomb or not, they're not going to make a ludicrous amount of money. You have now Sam Altman, Elon Musk, all them people. These are the people who own these AI. They're private entities. And for instance, you've heard it all before. Sam Altman isn't following any safety guidelines. How many health and safety people have left Sam Altman? The people who started Anthropic left OpenAI because Sam Altman was just going crazy with what he was doing. He wasn't following any guidelines. So that then becomes the point of, if you have those people who are, you're going to get the government to regulate this stuff. If they have so much money, they're just going to pay off the government and bribe the government to just let them do whatever they want. And I know you might say that's very pessimistic and very cynical, but you can't tell me that's not a reality. And that then comes back to trying to compare the two. In World War II and the atomic weapon, at least you have the people's best interests at heart. Now, this is just people doing what they think is what they want to do to make a load of money and become very powerful. Obviously, they might have interest in AI too, but they're off the guardrails. They don't care. And even if the government tries to step in, I would not be surprised if they just get bribed, or if there's brown envelopes going under the table. Maybe I'm being very grassroots there, and that's not actually what's happening, but I feel like money and corruption are no strangers to each other, so we'll see what happens. But like I said, there's no vote. We're not voting for whether AI, this is the best way to go with our lives. You know what I mean? This is the best way to go for humanity as a whole. This is just, Elon Musk literally said it. Elon Musk was the first guy to say that we should park the brakes here on AI. And now he's full pro AI. He makes the point that, oh, well, if you can't beat them, join them. You gotta be trolling. You know what I mean? If something could potentially lead to the downfall of humanity, and since you can't stop it, you're going to say, oh, well, let's just join them. Let's just help that. Let's just facilitate that. What are we doing? How is humanity... And there's no vote. We can't vote on this. This is not a decision we have. And obviously, throughout all times, through the eras past and gone, the people who are in charge of the most technologically advanced innovation, they're going to be the people with the most power. That's just how it goes. But at least I feel like in the past, the people might have had the option to vote on those things, like the atomic bomb. Well, there was never a vote for the atomic bomb, and the people, oh, do we want an atomic bomb or not? I feel like the government is trying to represent the people's best interests, and no one's profiting off making atomic bombs. Well, maybe they are, maybe the big weaponry companies, I don't know, but that's a whole another rabbit hole I don't want to get into. But this just seems that, like, it literally seems like we're the turkeys calling for Christmas. Nobody can vote for whether we want to keep going with AI or not. And we're just being told that's how it is. We're going scorched earth on this. That's what Sam Altman's doing. He's going scorched earth on this. How many people have left him? Safety guideline instructors and safety guideline regulators have just left him because he's not following any of that. He's not following any of the recommendations. And that could ultimately affect you sitting down listening to this, just because Sam Altman wants to go scorched earth on AI and not listen to any health and safety or regulations. How does that make sense? How is that the society we now live in? I just don't understand. I can't believe Elon Musk is saying since he can't push the stop button and stop this, he's just gonna join this and allow this to keep going the way it's going. If everyone had that analogy with life, humanity would come to a halt very quickly. Because people would be like, oh, well, sure, if you can't beat him, join him. We might as well all be terrible people and do bad things. I'm not saying that everyone in AI is terrible people, and AI is a terrible thing. Once again, I feel like I'm going a bit doomy on this. AI definitely does some great things. But I just feel like the general people have no say in it. How is that fair that the general people have no say in a technological innovation that could potentially completely eradicate humanity? How is that? How does that make any sense? I don't know. Once again, I'm the question guy here, guys. I don't have the answers. But who decides this? That leads me to my next point, and this is something that Musk talks about a lot in this as well. And he says that work now becomes optional. Because he says, literally in 5 to 10 years' time, AI is going to be better at doing every single thing than humans. So then work becomes optional. But is that even what we need? Like, he compares it to gardening. He says you don't garden because you have to. You do it because it's fun. You don't you don't plant fruits and vegetables at your backyard because you have to. You can just go down to the shop and buy them. You do it because you just want to do it. It's a hobby. But I think that's a very niche sub-hobby, what you're talking about there. But for thousands of years, your purpose has come through your job. We're talking about farmers, people who are carpenters, people who are electricians. That mightn't be how they figure out who they are to the nth degree, but it is to a certain point who they are as a person. And if you just take that away, how many people are going to want to be electricians when they don't have to be electricians? And the thing is, how much do you find out about yourself by doing that job as the electrician when you don't want to do it, doing all the hardships when you don't want to do them? And that develops you as a person, and to think it doesn't, I think, is absolutely ludicrous. And when you take the necessity out of it, well, then you don't have to do it anymore. So now you can just stay at home, scroll on TikTok or Instagram, or just do the things for easy dopamine, and then you're not actually developing who you are going to become as a person, or who you want to become as a person, because it's just the agency has been removed. AI will now do it for you. It's like there's a philosopher called Hegel. Now, I'm not claiming to be a philosopher at any way, shape, or form, but I heard one quote by him. I know this is going to be very heavily paraphrased, but he uses the analogy of the master and slave. So if you have a master in a house, and you have a slave being, let's say, this AI, that will do every single thing for you with the click of a fingers. Fix your sink, make your food, wash your clothes, brush your teeth, wash you in the shower, literally anything you could possibly, clean the house, anything you could possibly think of. If you're giving that away, that agency, to an AI to do it, to the slave to do it, well, the master actually has no actual intrinsic power over the slave. The master just tells the slave what to do. The master gets all the agency taken away from him, and now the master is the slave to the slave, and that's what I feel like we're doing. How is that a good thing? It feels like the more and more we go down this path, we are just becoming less capable as human beings. This feels like, to me, I don't know if de-evolution is a thing or devolution, but that feels like we're calling for. You know what I mean? If you have something else doing everything for you and you don't have to do it, why have humans even come to this point? We've come to this point because we've evolved to be in this position of power, let's say, in the food chain, in the overall ecological demographic. But if we're getting this AI stuff now, and AI is going to do everything for us, where does that lead? There's so many questions that just don't have answers that I just don't understand. Maybe you guys have a thought that you can tell me, but, you know, how like, the master at some point becomes the slave to the slave, you know, whether he knows it or not, or whether he likes it or not. But this is what I mean, like, what forms a person? And I definitely think that doing the things you don't want to do, and your job, those are a part of what forms a person. And if you take them away, the emptiness that humans are already feeling and the purposelessness that humans are already feeling today with this amount of abundance, that's only going to be exacerbated by now becoming more reliant on AI and doing less things ourselves because AI can do more for us. I don't know, guys. It just doesn't make sense to me. Maybe I'm being very doom Corey here. I would love if someone can play devil's advocate with me here. Now, I wish someone was here with me now to play devil's advocate with me, because I know I'm asking so many questions and there's not answers. But, you know, maybe it'll get you thinking, and I feel like that's the point of this podcast, and the podcast I do is just to get you thinking too. But that's all I have really to say, guys. I'm conscious it's going to be a shorter episode, but I don't want to make it longer for the sake of just making it longer. I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any insights, or you have any questions, or you have any things you'd like to say, drop them in the comments. Let's have a conversation, because that's ultimately what I want to have. That's why I do this. Thank you for listening. Next week, we will have another podcast out. Is it going to be with a guest? Is it not going to be with a guest? Right now, I'm reaching out to people, so I don't know. But you'll figure out when that episode comes out, because it's either going to be me in the middle of the frame, or else it's going to be two people in the middle of the frame. If you're still here, thank you for listening along, and we will see you in the next episode.